Kevin, when you look at this Boston team and where they are at this point in the season, just what stands out first, and what do you, I guess, how you prioritize what you need to do to stop them?
I mean, they got a lot of size. They play physical. They got good isolation scores, That's what the league's about, having guys that can score, create buckets on their own. They got a few guys that can do that off the dribble. So that makes them tough, good defenders, So it's really going to be a physical series, and who wants it the most, and every possession is going to matter. And, we'll see what happens.
You guys handled them pretty easily in the first round last year. How would you describe how different of a team they are now and you are now?
I mean, they got, 6 or 7 new players on their team, I think, right? I'm not even thinking about last season. That shouldn't even enter anybody's mind. That shit was so long ago, and our coach, one of our coaches is their coach now. It don't even make sense to even look at that series. I forgot all about that series.
When you looking at this year's matchups, cut-ups from these games, is the last game really the only one that you can even look at as kind of a fair comparison? Just because you missed games earlier, and then
yeah, I mean, if you want to compare and try to predict a series by looking at past games, and so you could put your parlays in. Go ahead, use that game. I mean, we just trying to, both teams are focusing on what they do best and trying to go out there and execute the game plan. They got a game plan, we have one too. So I'm sure they're going to pull clips from our last game, and they're going to probably pull clips from other teams playing against us. That's just how it goes. So, yeah, I mean, for y'all, if you want to compare, go take a look at that game, that last one we played against them.
I didn't even mean from gambling perspective.
No, I was just joking. I know.
When you're looking at
that was my little jab.
How can we?
That was to the people that was watching.
But you had one game where you didn't play, Kyrie and Harden didn't play. So is there any value to even look at cut-ups from that game?
I mean, obviously, that. I mean, if you look at that game and determine and try to determine the one when they beat us by 40, right? At home, I think a couple of times. If you want to look at that game and try to figure out how the series is going to go, I mean, that wouldn't be smart on your part. I mean, because we have nobody on the court that's none of our starters really played those games. So, but I mean, people are going to try to figure out, what the series is going to look like. But the game's about to start here in a couple of days.
Kevin, everybody's banged up at this point in the season. For you, and if you compare it to years past, how are you feeling physically entering the postseason?
I feel solid. I feel good. I mean, I'm not grimacing when I'm running out there, so I don't have anything that's aching when I'm running or jumping. So I feel solid right now. I mean, we all got little nicks and bruises from playing meaningful games at the end of the season. Every team, every player. It's all about how you manage it and in between how you recover and stuff. So, I feel good in practice today.
Can you talk about Jayson Tatum and what makes it? You guarded him a little bit in the last game. Bruce guarded him. I mean, what makes him so tough, and what do you guys got to do?
He's a shot maker that can make shots over anybody. He's a long, athletic player. So he can make tough shots over anyone. He can get to the spots pretty easily. So we just got to, make it as hard as we can on him, play hard. I mean, there's no exact formula to stop these guys or to stop, Jayson Tatum, but it's about just playing with effort and energy. That's all defense is.
With the year he's had, and you were talking before about MVP, would he be in the lower conversation or in there?
Like I said, I mean, if you chose Jayson Tatum as your MVP, you wouldn't look crazy, And like I said, that goes for a lot of guys in the league right now. So, he's that caliber player.
Kevin, you obviously hear the speculation about Ben, but you guys are living it day to day. Are you expecting him to come back at any point in the near future?
No, I'm not expecting him to play. That's easier for me. I'm not putting any pressure on Ben to come out there and hoop. So I'm not expecting him to do anything, but just to get his body right and get healthy as fast as he can. So in my mind, I'm preparing as if we're playing with the team we have.
How much of a lift would it be if you guys obviously kept winning, you keep that runway going? and he were to appear at some point during this run?
I'm not even thinking about that. I mean, we all know what type of player Ben is, and you can, put together scenarios in your mind on your own on what it'll look like, but I'm not going to go there because we're just taking a day at a time.
You guys had a pretty up and down season in terms of wins and losses, but ended up finishing on a pretty high note. Does that momentum actually carry? Is that a real thing, or does it kind of start from scratch?
Yeah, you try to start from scratch. You as an individual, you just keep fine-tuning your skills and, work on your game, and, that'll translate more so than, like, feeling good about the wins that we had at the end of the year. So each individual just keep working on their games, and mentally, once it's time to go over a game plan and stuff, we focus on that. But I wouldn't use those games as, like, as, I guess, a momentum booster.
Kyrie,
what
just
is
from
when you look at him, the job he's done there, why do you think you'll be able to excel so fast as a head coach?
Oh, he's a player's coach. I mean, he played the game. His route into playing in the NBA was a grind, so he understands the work you have to put in. Each individual, he's played with some of the greatest players of all time, and under arguably one of the greatest coaches in any sport. So it's a lot of knowledge he gained from there, and was an assistant coach for so long. So I mean, he just went through the grind as a player and as a coach, and throughout that time, he just understood what winning basketball is like. So. And when you got young guys that are listening, a great coaching staff, I know most of those guys over there too, so you got guys that are listening, and everybody on the same page, you can do some special things in this league. So I think that's what they're on right now.
Does it give the fact that he was here a year and he knows you guys a little, do you think that helps them at all?
Even if he wasn't here, he would know us, I mean, that's just the type of coach he is. He's going to do his homework, so regardless if he was here for 8 months, he was still going to know each player top to bottom.
As good as you and Kyrie are in ISO, the ball's moved really well since you came back, from the knee. I'm curious, they switch probably as much as anybody in the league, and that has a tendency to kind of, lure people into even more ISO, right? When you look at their defense and the way they play, how do you guys make sure that the ball still kind of swings around and pops and you don't get lured into bad habits?
I think basketball in general is just about attacking, trying to beat your man, and I pretty much feel like every play in the league ends in an ISO, whereas it's me versus you, you know what I'm saying? Maybe it's the guard versus the big in the pick and roll, but at least you're going at somebody, so I feel like that's just the league, so, but if your defense not on point, the ISOs look bad, you get what I'm saying? So if you're not guarding nobody, then you come down ISOing every time. It's just, it just looks bad. But I feel like if you got a good defense, a solid defense that can, get stops, you can create stuff on the other side individually. That makes your offense less predictable, in my opinion, So we want to obviously run sets and get movement, but if we can beat our guy and be aggressive individually to create for each other that way, I think that'll help as well. So I think the game is, obviously evolving, and you can play different ways. I think each team is adapted to that.
Kevin, can you talk about the mental strength of Kyrie to go through everything he went through, and then, here he is, making 12 straight shots in a critical game, and just the player that he was. I mean, you saw, went through a lot.
Man, he's just doing his job. I mean, he wouldn't even look at it like that.
Yeah.
It's, obviously, I mean, everybody goes through a lot, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
for him, I think it's just the fact that he understands his job, he understands who he is as a player, and I think that's, once you have that belief in yourself, no matter what, be out 5 or 6 months, not play all year, fasting, once you understand who you are on that floor and what you bring, I think you can endure pretty much anything. So that's just a testament to this, working on this game all those years and perfecting his craft.
Kevin, this is kind of a crazy question. Dominique Wilkins, he had on the same side as you, he had the same injury. He came back and they say he was one of the best post-injury. Did you know about that at all? Did you look at it at all when it happened?
Yeah, I mean, I heard about those stories years before I had an Achilles injury. Probably the first time I heard that story was Kobe's Achilles.
He was right, or he was dominant side.
I just think that just the fact that it was an Achilles injury and somebody that bounced back, there was a lot of stories of people that didn't, but then you're seeing the Dominique Wilkins story. So it always was, one of those stories around the NBA that you hear about. And once I tore mines, he reached out to me and just offered me some support, so he understood the grind. And it's almost like a fraternity of athletes once you have an injury that big, because it's, such a long recovery and you go through so many emotions, so you want people that can relate to that situation, so it's kind of cool how I brought everybody together in a weird way.
For him, like his was the right side. A lot of guys was the left side, and I guess that's your dominant leg that you're
Yeah.
off of. So does that make a difference though, or not really?
Yeah, you can say that. I mean, because I use my left leg a lot for stuff, on the floor, and it's kind of like my base, So definitely probably would have felt different if it had happened on the other side, But just going through that in general was a tough injury. It's a hard recovery, but now you're starting to see athletes, Wesley Matthews is one of the guys that I looked at as well when he tore his, because he came back and pretty much looked like the same player. So I was like, regardless of what your skill set is like and your role is on the team, as long as you're healthy enough to run up and down the floor and play minutes in the NBA, I felt like it was a success. So looking at stories like that was pretty cool, And then to have conversation with guys, hearing, small conversations about it as well was dope too. It was like, form that bond, like I said.
It's a little off topic, but as the team in Brooklyn, the sporting team in Brooklyn, I think tomorrow is the 75th anniversary of Jackie Robinson. Can you, I guess, contextualize what he's meant to you, if you thought at all about him, or what he's meant in terms of our national discourse on race relationships?
Yeah, someone who stood in front of the whole conversation. Pretty much took on everything himself as an athlete, as a black athlete in this country, and endured so many tough times as an athlete that, his story today, still resonates, with young athletes and older athletes and people in general. Everybody in the world could relate to what he went through, So his impact is still being felt today, especially here in Brooklyn, New York City, and places that he, went through on his journey, So it's good that we still honor him today.
Thank you.